Hello, everybody. Today, I wanted to do something a little different, something a little unique, and just kind of start my own avenue of things. I am going to post this on YouTube, and this is a whole full story of my testimony. And I'm going to walk through it because I've seen a lot of people on TikTok talking about their testimony and how they believe it's not good enough to share, or that it's too boring, or they did too many things in their past that they are not proud of, so they are afraid to share their story. And I just want to come on here and to say, like, no one is perfect. Only Jesus Christ is perfect. Everybody has a story that is unique and true to them. Even if you grew up in the church, it may seem somewhat simplistic or somewhat boring, but there's going to be a part of your story that could change somebody else's life, no matter how simplistic or boring you think it is. And for someone that didn't grow up in the church, and for someone who is found God on their own and maybe didn't grow up in that environment, they think they are not good enough or that their past was too bad to be able to share to other people. But what we don't realize is the things that we internally struggle with, so many people around this entire world deal with the same issues. And that could be lust, that could be lying, that could be gossip, that could be lust in relationships. It could be not being faithful. It could be being mean to our parents. It could be being mean not to other people. You could have been an addict. You could have struggled with alcohol, vaping, a lot of other situations and other categories we could completely go down that you think you may be the only person struggling with. But the reality is, everyone struggles with something. Nobody is perfect. Nobody is Jesus Christ except for Jesus Christ. So I just wanted to get into my testimony to kind of just put it out there, and hopefully maybe it finds somebody and helps somebody be inspired to follow Jesus Christ. Before we get started off, I just want to say how my testimony is a little all over the place. It starts when I'm a little bit younger, but then it's really kind of in the last couple of years for me. But overall, I grew up in a Christian household. I am the oldest of four siblings, a family of six, now a family of five because my mother is widowed. We lost my father almost 2 years ago of April. We lost him in April 9th of 24. So, but growing up, I grew up knowing who Christ was. I grew up knowing who the Lord is. I grew up with a father and a mother who was very God centered and really made an effort to show what a godly relationship looks like, not only in the church, but as a couple. So, being the oldest, I was thrown into more of a responsibility role. Whether I liked it or not, that's just kind of the reality of it is. If you're oldest, you get thrown into this responsibility role because you're just like the built-in babysitter, the mole rat. You're the first to do everything. So you're really your parents' guinea pig. For people that are the oldest, they can understand this. So that led to me being open and aware, I feel like, to more things. I could see my parents' relationship more. I think I am the only sibling that remember my dad working legit job at the bank before my mom started doing it works and social media. There's a lot of factors that play into that because I remember how hard my dad used to work and how my mom would pick up side gigs making purses at the Liberty Fall Festival when I was younger. She'd steal my radio and I couldn't sleep listening to my Christian music. It's a funny memory that I have, but she would always take my radio out of my room and I would always be like, oh, I can't sleep. But my parents did a really good job building that foundation of who Christ is and why we follow Christ when I was younger. So lead that up into when I get to third grade. Third grade, I moved schools. I was only in second grade, but I started my third grade year at a new school. And I didn't know many people. Was kind of by myself. I mean, we were still little kids, so, kids be kids, we're playing, whatever. But for some reason that year, I felt really convicted in my heart to tell my dad, like, I want to give my life to Christ. So he sat me down and took me through something called the Roman roads, is what he called it. And that's all the Bible verses in the book of Romans saying that, like, I think it's Romans 6:23 or 3:26. I can't remember the exact one, but for the wages of sin is death, but the gift of God is eternal life. And that's very important because it's like we sit here and we think about it. For everything that we've done on this planet, for everything that we are born into a world of sin. So anything that is above death, above sin, is such a blessing for us because we do not deserve any of this. Adam and Eve, they sinned right against God as soon as they were created. They sinned right against God, and from then we were cursed into a world of sin from then because of Adam and Eve. But Jesus, if we can really believe in our hearts that Jesus Christ came to this planet and died for our sins, and then rose again. That is how we are able to accept the eternal gift of God and be able to go to heaven. But something felt very called to me that year, be like, Dad, I really want to accept Christ. Like, I don't know what it was, but it was a big thing for me. And then we had a baptism coming up at the church I was at that time. It was called Restore. And actually, my dad baptized me. He got baptized with me because he had never been baptized before. He had grown up in a home, they didn't know Christ. He grew up an only kid. So he found Christ on his own. My mom grew up in the church. She grew up in a Baptist church. So I had the opportunity to get baptized next to my dad, and he baptized me. So our pastor baptized him, and then my dad baptized me. So that was really cool. And I felt like it was all sunshine and rainbows for a little bit, and then it kind of died down. And I just know within the following years, me, one of my sisters, Ella, and my other brother, Fisher, I don't think Lily was old enough yet, but we went to Kanakuk. And then from then, I met a lot of good people then because I was able to go because sports weren't really consuming my life yet. So around fourth and fifth grade, I was able to go to Kanakuk, meet really good, godly other Christian kids that were trying to grow their faith at the same time. And I surrounded myself in good community. And when I was at Kanakuk, I had a really coming to life moments like, well, I feel like I have accepted the love of Jesus and I haven't been following through with a godly life. So I prayed and I started talking to one of my camp counselors, and he just did a lot with me that week of just praying and just really opening my heart to things and asking God to come in and really do something with my life. And like, just, I told him I felt like I'm really called to something and I don't know what it is. And I feel like I'm being convicted right now because I'm not living the godly life that I have been called to live to. Mind you, I was only in like fourth or fifth grade at that time. And then I didn't get to go to Kanaguk anymore because baseball started getting real serious for me then. And I also started football. So any of you that play football or even summer baseball, you know how consuming that can be in your summer. So it almost felt like kind of a pause for a while in my relationship with God. I was falling into worldly things, I was falling into worldly sin. I got into a couple relationships that were just really not good for me. If we fast forward to probably about freshman year, so around COVID time, around 20, I was starting high school. Things have been going well for me. I actually got involved with an older female that just kind of tore me apart in certain ways I'm not going to go into depth about, but it really hurt. And that was kind of a wake up call for me. So got involved in I got involved with some things that probably weren't in my best interest, if I'm going to be completely honest, as a freshman. And that kind of sent me down a tumble a little bit. And then the girl that I thought I was in love with at the time when I was a freshman, yeah, I know we can all sit here and laugh because we've had that, cut things off with me right as COVID hit. So then it was just a completely tumble downwards from then. And that was hard for me. It taught me a lot about myself. It felt like extreme isolation during that time. Not only was it isolation during quarantine, but at the same time, it just felt very extreme because of what just happened to me as well. So I felt like I spent a lot of quarantine figuring out who I really am and kind of trying to build myself up piece by piece. And during this time, I thought I also found the second coming love of my life, which is unfortunate because that one did me even dirtier than the first one. And I think that was God telling me, like, hey, Kale, like, you're going in the right direction here with the isolation and figuring out who yourself is and surrounding yourself with good people. And I just ignored all the warning signs God was throwing at me. And I just decided, like, hey, it's okay. Like, I think this is good for me. And that was when I made the wrong decision. I believed it was good for me. So I just continued with it. Sometimes when we sit here and think this is good for us, in reality, it's not good for us. Sometimes God is throwing these blatant, obvious warning signs that we all just want to ignore. And that's completely what happened. I just straight up ignored it. And I got into that, and it just opened me up to a whole avenue of the partying scene, alcohol, and all these other things that just didn't lead me down a good path. So we fell into this world of temptation, this world of sin yet again, because I keep failing to be like Christ. I always thought if I can't be like Christ, if I can't be perfect, what is the point? He does not deserve my love. And I kept rooting that in my brain, like I do not deserve the love of Jesus because I keep falling into these sins. If I can't even get past this sin or get past this lustful sin or get past this temptation, what am I going to do? Like, I'm not good enough. He isn't going to love me. That's the devil talking to you. I can tell you from experience, those words, those thoughts that I had in my own head, that is not you speaking, that is your flesh speaking, and that is the devil speaking to you. Because the devil was trying to speak to me, saying I needed these things of fleshly desires, and I was consumed by it. I didn't think anything else other than it. I had told myself I was too weak to overcome them. I had told myself that I wasn't good enough and or accepting of the Christ's love, his unconditional, forgiving, merciful love. How did I think that I was not worth that? I just didn't. So I just continued on like I almost didn't care because it's in my head it's like, well, if I can't deserve this love, what's the point of trying? So then I really got into a dark place my sophomore junior year, a really dark, sad place. So that was a lot for me to overcome. And then my I really kind of try to get things right with my relationship with myself. And I thought all this self-help, self-care things were going to do me justice and really bring it to light. And it did for a little bit. Like, I really did things to work on myself. I did everything to work on myself except include God, and that was my mistake. So, my senior year, I kind of built myself up my junior year with all these self-care things that I thought were good for me. Again, I thought they were. I didn't think God thought they were for me. I was like, all right, God, I can't do this. I'm going to do this because I think it's going to work. That's not the case. So I spent my whole year trying to build that up. And then we get to my senior year. I honestly had a great year. It was probably the best year of baseball I've ever had. The girl I'm dating at the time was going great. I think nothing can be going wrong. But then just something inside of me, I could feel it. Like something was missing. And I felt like that for about 3.5 months, probably from May to about August. And I couldn't tell you what it is. And that whole summer was just so weird to me. Just like I had gone such a high note of baseball and just high school as a whole. Like, why do I feel like something's missing? So I did some real deep self reflecting and I got to school in college. And just kind of like a month in, just wasn't myself. I was quick to anger. A lot of the people I loved and just wanted to talk to, it'd be like they'd text me. I'd be frustrated almost. And I'm like, what are we doing, Kale? Like, this is not who you are. This is not me. This is not me. This is not you, dude. So I had to cut things off with my girlfriend at the time, and she hated that, which I don't blame her for. But like, I needed to do it for me because there were some things I hadn't figured out or some healing that I needed to figure out, and I haven't done that yet. So I told myself that was the time to really figure it out and dive deep and figure out what was going on. And I made some choices on myself that made that situation a little bit harder, but I'm not going to go into depth on that. But just later on, I get back home for Christmas break. I had really been taking the time of like isolation in a sense of really taking accountability for myself of who I'm around, what I'm surrounding myself with. Because the reality is the five people you're around the most is the people you're going to become. So you better be very mindful who you hang out with. And I was like, well, I'm looking at what I'm doing and what I'm kind of around and the situations I'm putting myself in. I'm like, this is not good. This is not what I want for my life. I have to figure something out. So I started taking those steps to not only hold myself accountable and do the things I said I was going to do, but also build that relationship with the Lord. And by praying when I didn't feel like praying, or even reading my Bible, or just even trying to spread the truth of the gospel to people in my life. And it was really hard because sometimes when I don't know what to do when I pray, like we think prayer is you asking God for something, but the reality is God just wants a relationship with you. And I feel like once I kind of had that click in my head, it's like, man, I've been ignoring God or just being really selfish with my relationship with God for so long because I'm always asking Him. I'm always trying to be like, hey, can you help me with this? Can you give me the confidence to pass this test? Can you give me the confidence to play good? Can you put this in my life? Can you make sure this happens? But the reality is, once I started talking to Him about the things going on in my life, like, God, I don't feel okay. God, why is this happening to me? God, like, I don't understand what you're doing with my life. Like, God, what is going on? That's when I started to see a difference because I started making a relationship with Him. Yeah, I was complaining, but I started a relationship with the Lord, and that was the main difference for me. And I came home, and I even got told by my mom that you could kind of see a little bit of difference in me. But then I was also still very blinded because I was in my college kind of mindset of what I'm trying to fast forward to. And me and my dad got into a lot of arguments and fought the entire time when I was home because it's just a little bit different. You almost got that sense of independency taken away again. So now I'm trying to figure out how to live with my parents again when I'm at home, and it was a little difficult. And all we did was argue, and I decided to transfer about 5 hours away from school because I was tired of it, and I was tired of arguing. I didn't want to be around it anymore. And I really wish I didn't do that. Because I mean, it was a blessing and it sucked at the same time because I went to the new school, started getting my life together. I figured out how to work a job, play baseball, and do school all at one time. And I was really proud of myself because I had worked a lot. I've been working really hard. Things were really going good for me. I had started to lose some weight, and everything that I could control was going good for me. And that was something I really rooted in my brain because if I can control it, we're going to have a good attitude about it, and we're going to really worry about the things that I can control because there's no reason to waste my mental capability or mental capacity on something that's not something I can't control. And the reality of that is it was going well for a while, and then I get a phone call from my sister and I have to go home instantly. My dad ended up passing away on April 9th of 24. And that was rough. It really sucks. And that brought me a whole new perspective to life. It brought me a lot more appreciation for the little things. It brought me more understanding for people who go through things. It brought me more empathy, but it also brought me other things like apathy and just not caring what people say, and it really has made me who I am today. I had a choice when I lost my father, and I know so many people that just sit there and blame God for all of their issues. But one thing I was like, my mom told me she sat there and prayed as it was happening, as she didn't know what was going on. She prayed and she said, "Thank you, Lord, for my father." If that doesn't say anything, I don't know. Like that just says numbers because that just shows how much God means to them, how important that their God was in their relationship, and just the beauty of that is just absolutely amazing. And I had a choice. I could blame God and just distance myself from him, but I was in church one time and we were talking about the Holy Spirit, and the pastor said something about he just wants to come alongside you and pick up the burdens that you're unable to pick up yourself. And I'm like, as much as I really am frustrated and mad about this entire situation, I'm going to give it to you, God. I'm going to take all my burdens, all my sadness, all my anxiety, all my feelings of wanting to fall back into things I had overcome. I'm going to give all of this feeling of sadness and everything to you and just give it to you. Because the reality is, if I could have fixed everything already, I would have already fixed it. If you could do it yourself, if you could fix all your issues and problems yourself, you would have already done it. And that's the reality of it. So I took every burden that I thought I have and gave it to the Lord because He wants to come alongside you and be with you during this process, because He's not here to give us wrath, even though we deserve it. He is here to love us unconditionally and be so merciful with His love that He's willing to take our burden and just do with it as He pleases. Because the reality of the situation is, God has a plan for every single one of you. It's not our job to know why or what the plan is. It is our job to trust him. It's our job to trust that his plan for us is going to work numbers and it's going to work out. It's going to work out. So I have learned a lot. I have had to grow up a lot, and my testimony is still building as we speak. But just from all the things with my dad, the things that I've struggled with, once I have given it all to God, I can sit here and tell you guys that I have this weird sense of uncontrollable or undeniable, I don't even know what you want to call it. I have this weird sense of peace and joy. I can't explain it. It's unexplainable. I feel so much more at peace. I feel happier. I feel more content. It's like I prayed my prayers and I was telling God everything that was wrong. And I just like, God, like, why? Please just take this feeling away from me because I can't do this myself. I need you in my life to be able to help me, call me up, and just show me what my path is. Just give me some sort of idea, or just give me opportunities to show where I can be strong, show where I can be merciful, show where I can be empathetic. Give me opportunities to be patient. Give me opportunities to show what I'm supposed to do and follow into your plan, God. And as soon as I started doing all of these things, it's like it took a turn for the best. And even through my one of the worst seasons of my life, I have never been so confident. I have never been so content. I've never been so calm. I've never been so peaceful in knowing that God has my back and that He has a plan for me and that it's going to work out how He wants it. So if I could leave anything for you today, is just trust in God's plan. Don't ask Him why. Because you don't want to be one of those Christians where someone's like, "You're Christian?" Because who knows? God could be saying the same thing to you on Judgment Day. Use your testimony to spread the word of the gospel and be inspiring to other people's. Your story is unique, and do not let the devil tell you otherwise. Thank you.